Hi, my name's Kim Arnold. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm participating in the Mixed Media Frenzy YouTube hop where we're scraplifting a layout. This is the layout on the left and this is my layout on the right. In this video I'll show you how I went about making that layout. So I'm using a Hip Kit Club, the February one, and I'm working on Vicki Boutin Foundation Paper as the background. So on the left side, I'm doing that torn paper and I am using a film strip printed pocket card from the Hip Kit Club February Pocket Life kit. And I'm going to use that instead of the film strip that the original artist used on their layout. So I'm using mixed media here to create the background. This is with a Tim Holtz Distress ink, not an oxide, just a distress ink. Originally when I started, my water was dirty and because it's quite a light shade of ink, it had changed the colour and made it quite dirty. So I went away and changed my water and now I'm back. So in the original layout, there's mixed media above and below the photo cluster and then off to the side. So I'm just working on that at the moment, using the packaging technique, using water in with the ink and smushing it onto the background paper and using a paintbrush to move it around. If you're not using a heavy cardstock like Foundations paper, I recommend that you put a gesso layer onto your cardstock to protect it with the water that you're doing. So to check whether my mixed media is sufficient, I bring back the pattern paper strip for the left-hand side and that film strip and the photo just to see where the placement is. Saw that I needed more mixed media work. So I'm putting more ink down and I just use some paper towel to help mop up some of the extra moisture and continue on. So now the original artist used a lot of splatters, so I've decided I'm going to use a Vicki Boutin dotty stamp to do those splatters with, rather than to actually put the splatters on myself. I'm just trying a few different inks to see which one's going to work. So I tried some distress inks in blue and pink, ended up going with an oxide ink. So I think this one's Pink Flamingo, and decided that that was the right colour. Just stamping it on a scrap piece of paper to try the colour next to the layout before I commit. I am doing an original stamp and then stamping it off another couple of times so that the dots lighten up as I place them onto the layout. So you can see that I've added those dots in around where the 3 lots of blue mixed media work was. Now I'm adding some splatters of a coral colour. So I've made this coral by mixing the pink and the orange gel crayons, Vicki Boutin gel crayons. And I'm just going to let that sit for a bit and then mop it up with the paper towel to get those splatters, which are only quite light and don't show a lot. I probably should have let them sit for a bit longer so that the colour absorbed more into the cardstock before I took them up. So the original layout had some tags off to the right of the photo, so I've just fussy cut some of those from some pink fresh papers which are in the kit. I've got a blue and a pink tag there that I'm going to have coming out from the right side of the photo. So I'm just trimming those down. I'm putting some blue and white striped paper, which is also a Pocket Life card, behind the photo. I have this gold script title, which is similar-ish to the idea that the original artist had, and so that will sit under the photo. And now I'm using a selection of die cuts from that kit to create some clusters around the photo. This is probably where I drift away a bit from the original, even more than I was, having gone for a very different colour scheme, and my layout's probably a little bit more substantial. I've got more on the page. But now I've gone a little bit crazy with the die cuts because I love them. They are so cute. So I'm working with those. I've decided I'm pretty happy with that fundamental design. So now I'm just going to start sticking down. So using wet glue to stick down these layers because I'm not going to put any dimension on those. So the original artist had some strips down on this left side, so I've created that with some gold stripe and some peach coloured washi tape to create those instead of using string, which I think the original artist used on her layout. So I'm using some Pocket Life cards behind the photo to give them layers, and I've distressed the edges of those a bit as well. I'm using craft foam sheets behind my photo to give it some dimension up off the page. And just checking that everything is in the right place before I commit. But I am also going to use some of these very cool watercolour stickers from the kit, and I'm going to stick those above, below and to the right of the photo, which just builds another layer into the clusters that I'm going to be putting in those positions around the photo. I like to do my layouts by keeping things quite tight around the photo, and so most of my embellishment clusters will end up quite tightly around the photo. So now, before I end up sticking everything down, I'm just putting some splatters of gold ink. I've used a Heidi Swapp Shine ink. I find to help it dry fast and so you get really nice bold gold drips, I mop up some of the moisture out of the drips. It helps it dry faster. I find it helps the gold give a really nice finish when it dries. So I just use some paper towel on the edges and create like a little point and suck up some of the moisture out of those dots, and then let it sit aside to dry. And it can take a while to dry with the colour shine, so I have cut that bit of the video out. So now that's dry and I can start building up the rest of the layout. I am picking out a few more embellishments that I can use to work in those clusters. So I'm going through some die cut packs, picking out what I think might work and putting it in a little pile there, so I've got it handy for when I want to build up these clusters. Check everything's completely dry and start sticking stuff down. Tags on. This is a good way of doing it too, trying to do your layers before you stick everything down. Create it up in your hands and then stick it down in one piece, particularly when you've got lots of different layers. Creating it before you stick it down on the page means you can get it in position where you want it much easier. So I'm layering up these different elements in the die cuts with some with wet glue, so they're stuck to the background, some with foam tape, so they get a bit of dimension into it. And by having all the bits at different layers, it just creates more interest in those clusters. So as I said, there's another cluster, big cluster on the right, which is similar to what was in the original layout. And then I'm also creating a cluster to the left. So you'll see there that the bit that sits under the photo I've stuck down with glue, and the bit that's away from the photo I've stuck down with foam tape. So the title goes on, and I have this really cute kiss, hug, which I want to use, and I have this little dark blue bubble, which I also want to use, but I end up sticking that up in that right-hand cluster. Move around that kiss, hug to get it in the right sort of colour order that I like. And that little rainbow goes in up the top too, which is super cute. As you can see, things are very much shifting away from the original layout by this point, as I go a bit crazy sticking all sorts of bits down, but there are so many different little bits that I could have included on this layout. It's very cute. So I think now I'm just sticking some more bits down, a few more embellishments. So at the top there on the original layout, there was like 3 little banners. So I'm sticking some word strips down up there, just sticking them down with glue. They are stickers, but using some glue to make sure they're stuck nice and firmly. So I've mimicked those 3 little banners, chipboard banners with some stickers up there. And now I've got some little enamel hearts that I'm just sticking down, putting those in the right place. They're just different shades of pink. So I'm just putting them around. Plus I've got some gold hearts that were left from the, that were in the same sheet as that title, as the loved title. Trimming off my edge strip. I think I mentioned this in just about every video. Very bad habit of mine not to trim it off till the end. Sometimes that becomes a bit of a problem. Now what I'm doing here is I've got some like glitter paste, and it's got so it's got glitter in it and it's got little stars in it, and I'm actually just brushing that on with a paintbrush. So it gives you like a speckled glitter look, and it dries. The glue or the paste that it's in dries completely clear, which means you can end up with like a little sparkly bit. I like to work it around the die cuts, just gives another element of interest, a little bit more mixed media work. Goes on really easily with a paintbrush, nice and thin layer, and it looks great. Tip though, might be better to journal before you put that on, because it's very hard to journal over it. So I found when I went to write in my journaling, which I'm doing now, my poor pen nib kept clogging up. So I had to keep cleaning it off as I put my journaling in. So journaling there and date on the side. And then I am pretty well done. So there's a picture here showing the original layout and my take on it, and some close-up photos of my layout. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, there's a heap of us participating in this YouTube hop. Everybody's links is in the description box below. If you like this video, please like it, and I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you back on my YouTube channel again sometime soon. Thank you.